Hi, my name is Heather Fleischman, and I'd like to talk to you all for a little bit about the SS Edmund Fitzgerald. The most difficult thing to process about tragedy is not understanding why something happened. This feeling still rings true 45 years after the sinking of the Edmund Fitzgerald. What was the Edmund Fitzgerald, and what do we know about its sinking November 10th, 1975? The Fitzgerald was the largest ship to sail the Great Lakes. At 729 feet long and 39 feet high, she was a marvel of her time and compared to the Titanic by calling her the Titanic of the Great Lakes. If you would like an idea of how large of a ship she was, a standard utility pole is 37 feet tall. So if you go outside and you stand next to a utility pole and look straight up, you have another 2 feet after that, and you will know and you will reach the deck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. According to the Shipwreck Museum records, the final voyage of the Edmund Fitzgerald began on November 9, 1975, at the Burlington Northern Railroad Dock No. 1 in Superior, Wisconsin. Captain Ernest M. McSorley had loaded her with 26,116 long tons of tactonite pellets. These were made of processed iron ore, heated and rolled into marble-sized balls. Departing Superior about 2:30 p.m., he was soon joined by the Arthur M. Anderson, which had departed Two Harbors, Minnesota, under Captain Bernie Cooper. The two ships were in radio contact, and the Fitzgerald, being the faster, took the lead, with the distance between the vessels ranging from 10 to 15 miles. Aware of a building November storm entering the Great Lakes from the Great Plains, Captain McSorley and Captain Cooper agreed to take the northerly course across Lake Superior, where they would be protected by the highlands on the Canadian shore. This took them between Isle Royale and the Keweenaw Peninsula. They would later make the turn to the southeast, eventually to reach the shelter of Whitefish Point. What is a November gale? It's a winter storm much like a minor hurricane, but consisting of wind, snow, and extreme cold. These gale warnings had been issued at 7 p.m. on November 9th and upgraded to storm warnings early in the morning of November 10th. While conditions were bad, with winds gusting to 50 knots and seas 12 to 16 feet, both captains had often piloted their vessels in similar conditions. But on this night, there was information from equipment and lighthouse failures. Reports show that the Fitzgerald lost both radar in the storm and were unable to navigate. It also says the Whitefish Point lighthouse was not operating properly that evening, and both of these made navigating in the storm near impossible and caused the Fitzgerald to rely heavily on input from the Anderson. While it remains unknown what exactly ended the Edmund Fitzgerald's career on the Great Lakes, we know it did end, and tragically. Reports from the Anderson from the Great Lakes Shipwrecks Museum information on the Edmund Fitzgerald is this telling of events from the Anderson. This ship was sailing along with Fitzgerald on the night it was lost. According to Captain Cooper, about 6:55 p.m., he and the men of the Anderson's pilot house felt a bump, felt the ship lurch, and then turned to see a monstrous wave engulfing their entire vessel from the stern. The wave worked its way along the deck, crashing on the back of the pilot house and driving the bow of the Anderson down into the sea. The captain says, "The Anderson just raised up and shook herself off of all that water, just like a big dog. Another wave, just like the first one or bigger, hit us again. I watched those two waves head down the lake towards Fitzgerald, and I think those were the two that sent him under." The official reports of the sinking released on April 15, 1977 informs the public that the reason for the wreck could not be conclusively determined. But at the time, there were 29 crew members on that ship, and they were all lost at sea. Immortalized in a song, Gordon Lightfoot wanted to tell the tragic tale of the loss of the Fitzgerald. His song would reach #1 on the Canadian music charts and #2 on the American music charts. At the time, it is reported that some of the information was incorrect, and Lightfoot made sure to retell it correctly, when he was out doing the song live. In 1995, at the request of surviving members of the Fitzgerald's crew, the bell of the ship was retrieved. It was restored and put on display at the Great Lakes Shipwreck Museum at Whitefish Point. I've personally gone to see this exhibit on several occasions, including being there in person when the ship's bell was first unveiled. This photo was taken in 2015 at my last trip to Whitefish Point. Not knowing why it happened doesn't change that it did happen. The families of 29 crew members forever were changed in the blink of an eye. The Edmund Fitzgerald became a violent and sad reminder of how fast the weather can change on the Great Lakes and how devastating the power of waves can be. Even the largest of ships, successful to a fault, setting record-breaking sailing trips, can succumb to tragedy. Through remembering the Fitzgerald legacy, we can hope to understand tragedy when it strikes and prepare ourselves to be forever changed. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to me today as I talk about the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Here's the song by Gordon Lightfoot.
The legend lives on from the Chippewa on down to the big lake they call Gitchagumi. The lake, it is said, never gives up her dead when the skies of November turn gloomy. With a load of iron ore, 26,000 tons more than the Edmund Fitzgerald weighed empty. That good ship and true was a bone to be chewed when the gales of November came early.